Welcome, anime fans and the anime curious, to Where There's a Weeb, There's a Way, a podcast series in which a seasoned otaku and a newbie attempt to put together an anime canon. We're going to be taking a look at some of the most influential shows and films, along with some more modern curiosities to help break a newcomer into the medium. We're your hosts, Grace and Chris. Well, everybody aboard the Infinity Train, because today we're going to be talking about the new Demon Slayer movie, which I think is called Demon Slayer the Movie Mugen Train.
That is corrected in reference to the train that our gaggle of Demon Slayers, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke get, a train from Tokyo to Mugen. At the end of the last season, they were sent there on a mission by the Talking Crow, and they're going to investigate some weird happenings. We're going to meet up with one of the big top Demon Slayer people, Rengoku, aboard the train, and do Demon Slayer-y hijinks. Adventure ensues.
Yeah, and this movie actually is newly released in the UK just this weekend, I believe. We have just got back literally just now from seeing it this afternoon, so these are our fresh thoughts, as just our first, gut reaction to this movie.
Yeah, these are kind of like our first impressions of the film. It's still, as you said, it's only been out for a couple of days now in the UK, but of course if you keep up with any sort of anime news or even film news, you've probably heard that Demon Slayer, the movie, or as it's known in Japan, I'll have a go at this, Gekijoban Kimetsu no Mugen Train, is the highest grossing film of 2020. Only in the year of our Lord 2020 could something so niche and specific rocket to become the highest grossing film of the year. And not just in Japan, that's worldwide. Obviously with cinemas shut because of the big C, because we can't say the big C because of monetization problems. The movie had found great success in its home country of Japan through fans continuing to kind of go back and watch the movie on repeat, rocketing the film to crazy heights, becoming the first Japanese anime film to reach $400 million at the box office worldwide, even before being released in the rest of the world, I believe. So yeah, it's been a huge success. It has a number of claims, a number of titles that it's got. It's the highest grossing film of all time in Japan, beating Spirited Away, the Studio Ghibli classic. It's also the fourth highest grossing traditionally animated film of all time, let's just have a quick look, being only by Aladdin, The Simpsons movie, and The Lion King. Just to give you a...
So it is beating Beauty and the Beast and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and...
Yeah, well, just for inflation, yeah. It's the 10th highest grossing non-English film, the highest grossing R-rated animated film of all time, and the 18th highest grossing R-rated film of all time, beating Saving Private Ryan and The Matrix. So the film has found enormous amount of success. It's also been a pretty big success in America as well, where it duked it out with Kong vs. Godzilla on the weekend, where US cinema chains reopened following kind of the huge vaccination effort over there. So yeah, this film has just captured a cultural zeitgeist, and it kind of delights and baffles me all at the same time. We watched the film in an IMAX cinema, the biggest possible screen,
And for a socially distanced screening, it was still, packed, or as packed as it could be while being safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So people had obviously come from all over to come see the film. So there's obviously been a huge push of it in the UK as well, obviously because there's probably not that many new films out at the moment, so it needs to fill the screen. So I think there's been all sorts of different factors involved in Demon Slayer. I'm calling it Mugen Train, Demon Slayer Mugen Train, becoming the success that it has been. Really, it's I think it's been a combination of the fact that obviously the series in Japan is obviously extremely popular, and because of the limited films that were shown last year, you can understand why fans would go back and rewatch it time and time again. But obviously here, in the UK and certainly in the US as well, for a lot of people, this will be the first film they see in the cinema after an extremely long time. We kind of went when things reopened up last summer, but for a lot of people, this probably will be. This is our first time being back in a multiplex.
Yeah.
We were kind of been to the kind of the independent cinema, small cinema near us, but this is the first one where we actually went to go to a big multiplex. So that was a bit of a weird experience. It was kind of interesting, but yeah, to see something so oddly specific on such a big screen with so many people was a delight. It was a delight.
It was indeed. We should also say, obviously, at the time of recording this and putting it out, we do have an episode about the TV series Waiting in the Wings. You won't have heard it yet because we're not actually scheduled to put that one out for a bit. We're obviously in that we go into our thoughts in a bit more depth on the TV show, but I think just for the sake of this episode, we'll just say we both liked it. We maybe didn't love it.
Yeah. That was kind of our reaction. Definitely, we kind of enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the aesthetic. I liked aspects of the characters, but some of it kind of felt a bit underdeveloped to me, frustratingly underdeveloped. Which we'll kind of explain. I don't want to give too much away about the episode, but we'll kind of explain elements of that in the actual episode about Demon Slayer's first season. But for this movie, I kind of went into it thinking, okay, well, this could kind of be a fun romp. This could be, kind of what I kind of expect from the series so far, and probably nothing more than that. But we kind of got to the end of the first season of Demon Slayer, and we kind of I kind of said to myself, I feel like I could really like this world if something kind of gave me a bit of a push, because by the end of the first season, they introduced the kind of Hashira, whatever you call them, the higher up Demon Slayers, basically.
Yeah, I think Hashira.
Hashira, yeah. And, they all seem pretty exciting, pretty cool, and there was elements to the world which I was really liking. I liked the Butterfly Lady, I liked the whole incident with the spider demon character. So by the end of the first season, I was kind of like, okay, I need something to kind of push me over a little bit, because I can see myself liking this world and liking these characters, but something needs to kind of push this, and we need to address a big problem I kind of had with the first season, and the movie does that.
Yeah, it actually is. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to.
Yeah, I enjoyed it probably more than the entirety of the first season.
True. Also, yeah, it was really fun. More fun than I think any individual episode of the show was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a huge element of it is, which I mentioned is now, is that this movie is not an original story. Most of the time, anime spin-off films tend to be, the kind of original stories, basically longer filler episodes with a higher budget. They don't really tend to be anything too spectacular. Only a couple spring to mind. The one is Barano Matsuri and the Secret Island of a One Piece film, which we will be discussing on this podcast series eventually. And this film, where Ufotable took in my opinion, a very clever idea, which I'm surprised they've not really done yet, but it could only really happen in this kind of more modern era of anime production, where where we're going for a seasonal approach as opposed to producing it weekly. So, Demon Slayer Season 1, Season 2 a year later, Season 3 a year later, where they decided to adapt an entire arc of the manga which I think is really cool. Like, so you go from watching a TV series, and then you've got the movie, which basically kind of adapts and condenses the, I'm going to call it, I don't know what it's actually called, but I'm guessing it's called the Mugen Train arc, where it condenses that like into a 2-hour film. And so as someone who's not read the manga, I was not confused at any point. I didn't feel any sort of compression issues or anything like that, because we have kind of done in the past, some anime series kind of have done movies where they've like condensed sagas and arcs into like into single movies, but done it really haphazardly. But the best thing about the Mugen Train film is that, like, unlike those films which are kind of looking back in retrospect, they actually just pick up directly from the TV. It's part of the TV series regular production, and then season 2 will then follow on from the movie. So I thought that was really cool. I think a huge part of I think why the film kind of worked for me quite a bit was I thought the setting was interesting. A lot of the haphazard setup, which I think Demon Slayer does have a bit of a haphazard setup, you've kind of gotten past that. The characters are kind of at an interesting point with each other. And I thought the actual kind of the demon that we were facing up against, who can do cool stuff with dreams, I thought was really interesting. And they addressed some of my biggest issues with season 1 of Demon Slayer, which was that they kind of underdeveloped like Tanjiro and Nezuko to a point where you don't really get into a lot of the trauma that they inflicted. It's kind of brushed under the rug a little bit.
Yeah, so as I think most people listening to this probably will know, their entire family is murdered at the start of the story by a demon, horribly slaughtered, and they just kind of bury them and move on. I think this, and you never really see them kind of like struggling with any trauma from that, which I think you would, because that's quite a horrible thing to happen when you're a kid. But you do actually see Tanjiro in this. Obviously it's part of the demon's powers is giving you dreams, good or bad, and he does have some traumatic dreams involving his family, their deaths, and it's very welcome, I think, after a whole season of it feeling like it didn't really matter that much.
Yeah, which is definitely like one of the slightly weirder elements for me of like the of the TV series, where they kind of swept it under the rug. Well, the movie kind of gets into that. I was really happy when we started doing all that stuff. When we really started kind of trying to drill down into what happened to Tanjiro. It's kind of the first time where the series is kind of like addressed that. I liked that. It was good. It was refreshing to see, and that was kind of So by the end of the movie, I was like, I like this world. I like these characters, and I'm curious to see where things are going to go next. It obviously helps that the movie has amazing animation. Like but the animation in the TV series is really good, but I feel like we really kind of stepped up the game in the movie version.
Yeah, the action set pieces were just fantastic to look at. Just really fun. I think the animation was so fluid, and it was so just a real spectacle, especially watching this in IMAX.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing watching in IMAX. Yeah, it was kind of the sound design as well was pretty phenomenal. The whole just everything. Again, a huge part of it was the IMAX was the IMAX viewing, I think, where you can feel the bass and the rumble of everything, and it really kind of helps you to kind of get sucked in. And I thought see the day when I see shown in action set pieces on the biggest possible screen, in a big multiplex cinema. It's just crazy to me that this film has been released on so many screens as it has done, but on the biggest of screens as well. So even as an experience, I think it's easily been my favourite part of Demon Slayer so far, easily.
Yeah, same for me. I also really like that this movie was set on a train. I just thought that was cool. I quite like trains. And I like sort of films that are all set on kind of one location like that, but it's a moving location.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And even though the film is pretty much only set in one setting, it doesn't feel like 2 hours.
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't feel like anything like that long.
Yeah, it just flew by. Like, we were kind of getting towards the conclusion, and you're like, oh my god, we're here already. Jeez. So yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like our quick immediate thoughts, I guess, is about, like, if you're a fan of Demon Slayer and you enjoyed the first season, then the movie is good. I'd call the movie really good. I had a really good time with it. Like, it addressed a lot of my kind of issues with kind of Demon Slayer and the first season of Demon Slayer, and really kind of drilled into making this world palpable to me, and it kind of made me interested and excited in seeing the second season. A nice thing as well about the movie is that, like, every single character gets a chance to shine. So, I mean, like, I guess we can get into the setup a little bit more, I guess. So, obviously, like, part of it is they're hunting down a demon, and part of the demon's power is they can kind of cast dreams, and it can kill you in their dreams, kind of like Freddy Krueger style, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is that they've been told is that passengers on board this train have been going missing. So, they are trying to figure out why and what's been happening to them, and trying to put a stop to it.
Yeah, and on board they kind of meet one of the Hashira, who is Rengoku, who you meet in the first season. He's kind of like a flame one, like his power is using fire, and he's really cool. You kind of spend a bit of time getting to know him and stuff, and like how awesome he is. He's such a great addition to this world. I really enjoyed his character quite a lot, and so you spend a bit of time getting acclimatized to that, and then kind of the main demon is introduced, and the main demon, as I said, has his power with dreams. And I mean, I'll probably say spoilers from here, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. And if you want to skip for spoilers and just get to the end of the episode, you can skip to time code 23 minutes and 32 seconds to continue with the discussion post spoilers. So like in the dream, cast dreams, and then the demon can kind of kill you while you're asleep, basically. Again, kind of Freddy Krueger style. So in Tanjiro's dream, he imagines that he's back at his family home in the mountains, and you have a bit of time there where Tanjiro reckons with what happened there, which as we said, and you'll find out a bit more in the Demon Slayer episode that we've recorded, was an element which I didn't I felt was missing. The address it here, it's great. Zenitsu's dream is of him frolicking through the fields with Nezuko, and Inosuke's dream is like this bizarre, like, underground thing, whereas he's the leader of the gang, and like him and the other members of the gang are all like animals and stuff. Nezuko's a rabbit. Zenitsu's like a mouse, and Tanjiro is done as a tanuki. So all that stuff's really fun. I really liked those sequences. Like, it's really imaginative, like a different sort of use of a demon's power, I guess. Then from there we kind of break out of the dreams, and we kind of fight the demon for real. And as it turns out, the demon has fused itself with the train, so it's kind of become the train.
And it's almost like it's going to absorb and eat the passengers from inside it.
Yeah.
So the gang then have to protect the passengers, and also like find which part of the train is now the demon's head and decapitate it.
Yeah. And
it's just a glorious set piece. Just really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, like every character does something cool. Every character has like a nice moment as you kind of go up and down the train trying to find where the demon is. All that stuff's really great. It culminates in them defeating the demon. A great moment for Tanjiro as he kind of summons some sort of flame thing. I don't know if that means he's going to eventually start mastering off.
I think he's going to like multi-class. I think is the implication.
Yeah, because like the film also, because the film is part of the actual series. It's an essential part. You can't skip the movie. Basically, you have to watch the movie to kind of get into the second season, where the movie explains that there's like different elements of being in the Demon Slayer core, and all the different styles are kind of like offshoots of that, which I think is kind of cool. So then they kind of stop the train, they defeat the demon, but then unfortunately the demon they defeat is like from like the lower ranks of Master Muzan. He's just
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah. He's like a lower rank of but they're like a lower rank of Michael Jackson's kind of gang of powerful demons. Then just when you think everything's going to go fine, the gang's going to get away scot-free, one of the upper ranks of Muzan's army comes to basically take on Rengoku. They have a spectacular fight, which ultimately culminates in poor Rengoku being killed in a spectacular fashion. It's a great fight. Like I loved that whole scene. Because at first I was like, okay, well, this is a character's turned up who we don't really know, and then he's fighting a character who we're only just kind of getting to know. Obviously, one of the best sort of shonen fights where there's like personal stakes between like both characters. But it becomes apparent by the end of the fight that actually, you are kind of invested in Rengoku, and it's ultimately about trying to see him succeed against, this unstoppable force. And even though he loses the fight, he won the war.
He does save all the other passengers.
He saves all the passengers and stuff, and it leaves the film on this really kind of bittersweet note of kind of like, the gang resolved to kind of defeating the demons, but it meant losing probably one of the better members of the Demon Corps, because all the others seem like insane psychos and weirdos. Rengoku, like, even though he had kind of like this kind of chirpy optimism, and he kind of keeps on staring off into the distance quite a bit, like, yeah. So honestly, at the end of the film, I felt something. I felt way more than I did for like the entirety of the first season of Demon Slayer. Where, like, there's a great scene where all the characters just, like, crying, like, they can't stop crying.
I mean, obviously Zenitsu and Tanjiro, but then Inosuke starts crying too, hilariously, and they're all just kind of sitting around crying, and it kind of stretches it into that kind of sad but funny territory, which, I quite like.
Yeah, like, it never felt like it undermined the scene or anything. But he leaves it on a really great note then of what does that mean for the second season. So it's very simple. There's not a massive amount to it. It's definitely not as deep or as insightful as maybe some of the anime films which we are going to be watching as part of this podcast series. But as a pure spectacle, I really, really do recommend Demon Slayer. And I would even say that even if you're not familiar with the source material, I think you can get the gist fairly quickly. You can clearly see who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and I think the dream sequences help to give a good idea of like what each of the main characters are like. I think the only thing it doesn't really get into is obviously the nature of Nezuko becoming how Nezuko became a demon and stuff. But aside from that, I think even if you're a newcomer and you can kind of just go along for the ride, then I think there's fun to be had. And I do think that ending does pack a wallop, especially kind of in this kind of I can see why Japanese fans kind of found solace in this last year, like kind of like that coming out of the darkness kind of thing. And
the sun rising over the wreckage of the train, I think is quite powerful.
If there's not a more apt metaphor for the last 15 months, then I don't know what is. But a wrecked train, just fucked up, Yeah, so I can see why Japanese fans really connected to this film during quite dark period. I'd say there is something, even though it ends with a major character death. There is something kind of uplifting about it. I didn't walk out of the cinema like completely depressed. I was kind of, as I said, that kind of bittersweet ending. The fight goes on. So yeah, man. Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, well done. This was the thing that made me finally realise, okay, cool, I like this world, I like these characters, I'm looking forward to seeing where things kind of go next, definitely.
Yeah, same here.
I think you're going to be in for a great afternoon or a great evening. It was pretty spectacular. Like, I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed the movie. And just the sort of thing I wanted to see,
after this, kind of bleak period, it was nice to see something fun.
Yes, definitely, yeah. So basically, Tenant, Demon Slayer, Mugen Train is a film that saved cinema. That and Kong vs. Godzilla.
Yeah, I like that it's kind of like like
It's
not
basically-
like
it's the
kind of schlocky,
crap, yeah.
schlocky, nerdy stuff that is saving cinema.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan movies like. And by the by as well, outside of being big anime fans, we're also big filmy people and stuff. And I make my disdain for Christopher Nolan known on a regular basis. You know, none of this like anyway. Tenet, Demon Slayer is the film that saved cinema, along with Kong vs Godzilla. It's the schlocky crap, and I love it. As I say, if this is your first film you see in a multiplex again, then I said I think it could be for a really good time, especially if you like the TV series. It's a really good time. You know, the whole audience we saw it with clearly had a great time. Laughed at the right parts, joked at the right parts. You know, like it was fun. In fact, before the film started, during the trailers, when it kind of went quiet, you know, people shouted like Tanjiro. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was a definite crowd, and even actually when we were queuing up for popcorn, we could tell who were going to go see Demon Slayer. You could just tell people about our age.
Yeah.
You know, like just a hunch they're going to go see Demon Slayer.
Just a hunch.
Yeah.
We never make assumptions. Where there's a weep, there's a way. But when I saw the queue for the queue to kind of get into the cinema, and I assumed that they would be there for Demon Slayer, and I was right. So that's a bit of a shortish one, but it doesn't really matter. As I said, it's a fun film. It's very entertaining, and I'd highly recommend it.
Yep, same here. We'll see, you know, back to our regular scheduled broadcast next week. I think we'll be putting up Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, so we'll see you then.
Thank you very much for listening to today's episode of Where There's a Weeb, There's a Way. If you liked the show, make sure to like, rate and subscribe to us. You can follow us on Twitter @ThereWeeb, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.